everybody. Welcome to JCLive, your weekly source for JCL news and fun. I am Kurt Ristroff, your host and publications chair for the National Junior Classical League, an organization of middle and high school students in classics courses. And with me today is Mr. Ken Schneider. How are you doing,
Hello.
man?
Good. I'm excited to be here.
It's very nice to meet you. It's great to have you on. So Ken was the NJCL vice president in 82, is that right?
81 to 82, yes.
81 to 82. And so your convention was Oklahoma, and you were elected. I forgot to look up where you were elected.
Oh, the Miami, the headquarters,
Oh,
Miami
Miami,
University,
Ohio.
Oxford. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Oxford.
We still have conventions there every 10 years or so. I don't know if we've been back to Oklahoma actually since 82.
Since Norman. Oh, I looked at the list. I looked that up once because you can look at everything
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
So yeah, I looked at the list. They had one here in Vegas a few years back, but I was working. I couldn't.
Yeah, I went to
I
that
really
one
would like
actually.
to
I
have
was
gone.
I don't remember a lot of that convention because I was the SCL editor that year. So I was writing the convention year all night and barely got to go out in the day. And so when I did go
Mm.
outside, it was July in Las Vegas, and so I ended up just sitting down on a bunch of things that turned out to be or cacti, just because there are some
Really?
cacti that are the whole campus is xeriscaped with the rocks and cactus landscaping, and there were some boulder looking things that I thought were safe to sit on, and they weren't.
Oh, the big round ones.
Yeah,
Oh, no. Okay, Kurt,
it
that's
was my
not good.
first time at that. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Susan Shear's in the chat. She said 2000 they had the convention, the national convention at Oklahoma again.
In 2000. Okay,
So
which
there
is
you go.
already 20 years ago. But
Wow. Yeah,
I,
but it.
I would imagine it's back in the rotation at some point.
Hmm. Well, it's terrific to have you on the show. This is supposed to be. We were talking just a minute ago. Ken is the most senior person, the oldest officer that we've had on as the guest. I know we've got Monsieur and Mr. Webb watched the show, um, and certainly
And
I.
hello, Monsieur,
Yeah.
because she was in the when I was there, and God bless her, for still being associated. I mean, that's an amazing feat.
Yep, she's been to 60 or 61 national conventions now. Maybe this year is her 61st. It's it's the most. She holds the record, the title. We actually have had
I
to
did
come up.
recognize the name.
Do it.
Well, I did. I was when I other shows. I noticed her name, and I'm like, is that the same person?
Yep.
So sure enough, yeah.
There have definitely been some awards created for her to receive. Like there's a 50-year Golden Crown Award now that you get for going to 50 conventions. That was my first convention, was when she got her 50th. So I was there, as a student, very awestruck and starstruck in the audience as they're doing this whole presentation for somebody who's attended 50 conventions. Incredible.
And you was your first one.
Yeah.
So she said 60. So she'd already done like 20 or 25 when I was there.
Guess so,
My
yeah.
math is, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
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 that's
because that
good
would have
though.
been,
That's amazing.
yeah, she would have just done her, she was probably on 21 or 22 your year as an officer, yeah?
Yeah. So just incredible when you think about it. And that's good because that's what you need. You need that continuity. You need that institutional memory to help move things along and know why this works and that doesn't.
Yep. And it's terrific. She maintains the NJCL history. I know we're just talking about you, Miss Sheeran, when you're watching the show.
Yeah.
She
All
maintains
right. Well,
the history of
she
the
deserves
NJCL.
it. She deserves it.
Yeah. Um,
All right.
so, but let's talk about you for a little bit.
Okay.
Because you were from Texas, if I stalked you
That's correct.
correctly in the Torch US. Um,
Yes. Yes.
and so how did
Went to
you? Mhm.
I went to it was Baytown Lee, Robert E. Lee, which was at that time was a powerhouse, and I looked at their stalk them. I looked at the high school, and they don't even have the Latin
Oh,
club here. They don't even have JCL.
that's a
So
shame.
that's why I was, tying that back to Susan, that's it's so important to continue that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
And how did you get first involved in JCL? What was it a teacher who was particularly good or?
I wanted to study law, and I'd always and had, was very good at English, and so there was always that. So yeah, so I got into that, and then of course I was in like politics.
Hmm.
So those two things combined together. When I was younger, I wanted to run for public office. I'm currently president of my HOA. It's about as close as I came after NJCL. And I've been that for 10 years. The community loves me. I've totally redid the whole community. So, but anyway, but that sprang out of that. But that's why I just headphones. It's weird to not hear my voice.
Oh,
I wonder if I should.
you can yeah take one off of one ear so you can hear yourself better. I've sometimes done that.
Well, there's a thing on here where it's supposed to change the ambient sound. Let me see.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, that's better. Let me turn the fan off. Okay. All right.
Yeah, out in Vegas, I understand. It's heating up. It's got to be, right? It's April 5th today. So
Uh, yes, but sometimes it's still, what happens is it heats up and then it cools down for a couple of weeks.
mhm.
So that's what I'm hoping for. But today I think it was 90 degrees.
It's a good sign of the changing weather. I was setting up the show an hour ago and there was still light coming in through my windows, and because we started this show in September, and I'm in New Jersey, it was always dark by 8 p.m. when I start. Um, And if the days get too much longer, then all my lighting is going to be ruined because there's still going to be light coming in through the window, which this setup
Well,
looks
that's yeah,
terrible when there's light coming in. Hmm?
like my window behind me. I still have. It's still pretty brilliant outside.
Yeah, well, you're on Pacific time, huh?
Yes, yes,
Gotcha. So,
and
yeah. So
I was going to
you,
say in Southern Nevada.
yeah, yeah. We've got one of our officers this year is from Nevada, actually. The
Hmm,
the first
which one?
VP, Rais. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
And when
my
did they start that? Can I ask?
first VP. Let's see. We had um, a few weeks ago on the From JCL to Medicine stream, we had Arvin Venkat, who was the parliamentarian sometime in the 90s. He was the parliamentarian who introduced the constitutional amendment to create a first and a second VP from the single vice president. So that was sometime in the 90s, I want to say.
Oh, okay. So about after 10 years. Okay. So there's another 10 years of just one VP.
Yeah.
I did suggest at the time that I thought the work of the VP needed to be distributed more.
Hmm.
So maybe evidently that obviously took hold for them to do a constitutional amendment. They must have been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, the way it split out was the first VP is now in charge of publicity and membership, and the second VP is in charge of the spirit competition and all service.
Okay.
And so we
Yeah, and I
moved,
remember that being a lot under one office.
and so that was all you. You did all of that stuff.
Yes, yes, I did. And I'm also the one who came up with Open Certamen.
Yep, I put
I
that
proposed that.
in the advertisement for the show because that was cool. Um, that you mentioned that.
And the reason that came about was because I wanted to play. I didn't get picked.
Oh,
So,
so you
so
didn't just come up with the term Open Kurtam, you came up with the whole
the
competition.
concept, yes, the concept of because in me saying, being disappointed and expressing, to other conventioneers, like, oh, I wanted to, and so that evolved. And of course, the whole board uh, agreed and the sponsors. And then they said, well, what what should we name it? I said, well, since it's open to everybody, why don't we call it Open Certamen? It's so simple, and everybody was like, okay. And that was one of the first things I checked too when recently. I was like looking at the program, I think, for the conventions, and I'm like, oh, it's still there.
Yep. We have Open
So
Certamen, there's competitive Certamen and Open Certamen, and World Series of Certamen, which is a newer thing. I'm sure the institutional memory folks in the chat can tell me when World Series started, but that's it began as Latin teachers and JCLers who were no longer in high school who still wanted to play Certamen. So they made this
see,
World Series of Certamen. And now in recent years, there's also been Agon, which is Greek Certamen, for the folks who take Greek. And so what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kinds of Certamen, 4 kinds of Certamen, something like that.
because everybody, it's fun. It's fun. And one of the pictures that I sent you, the one of me, I'm like 14,
Mm-hmm.
was at my Catholic school where they had, it wasn't Kurtamen, but it was a quiz bowl type thing, and I was the alternate on that too. So my resentment runs early and
Gotcha.
deep. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you joined JCL. You were interested in law and in politics. So you joined, I'm guessing, in early high school or in eighth grade or something like that.
Yes, I joined in ninth grade. Yes,
And
at Latin,
y'all, what was that like?
the Latin club. I mean, it was. I mean, there. They had a lot of foreign languages, but Latin really appealed to me, and just learning, the roots of words and understanding the concept of other languages and how they kind of all really come. Not all, but a lot of them descend down from Latin. I really, like I said, I enjoyed that. But my original intention was to study law, but that, life got in the way
Hmm.
of doing that. But that was my original intention. And then to join, I loved it so much that I wanted to contribute. And so I ran for office. And reason I ran for VP, I don't know if they still have a rule, but apparently the two presidents in a row can't be from the same state.
Two of
Am
any
I remembering that
office,
correctly?
two of office, any office in a row. So you can't have two editors from the same state year after year, or two parliamentarians or anything. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the previous president was from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so my sponsor, she said, run for VP. You'll get that. Yes. So I said, okay. But yeah, I think the previous, if like I said, if my memory serves, is the reason I did the VP. But I wouldn't have beat Brian, who just was at 18. Even now, I marvel about how Brian Melendez, he was the president my year, was such a put together and well educated and personable guy, and he definitely wanted to get into politics, and I believe he did. So yeah, so it worked out.
Gotcha. Had you been a state officer before that, or you just ran for national
I had
office?
no, I just ran for national office. I didn't do the state office thing. There was a lot of politics involved in that. I think I had much more freedom. There was no one kind of holding me down from the VP,
Okay.
because Texas. I mean, even now, Texas is a huge powerhouse.
Yep.
I seen that's continuing. Texas and Florida, and Texas and Florida were, even then, were big, and they still are. It's just that my own school doesn't have the Latin, doesn't teach Latin anymore, which means it wouldn't have a JCL chapter.
Well, if anybody from Lee, I'm sorry, where was it?
Baytown Lee.
Baytown Lee is watching this show. You can always bring back Latin. And well, do they have Latin but no JCL, or they don't even have Latin anymore?
No, they don't even have the Latin, so they'd have to bring back the Latin too.
Well,
I mean, that could have changed. I looked a year or two ago, and then COVID. I mean, that's changed. That's going to change a lot of things, even now, moving forward.
do you happen to remember what Latin textbook y'all used?
Oh wow, no, I have no idea.
Okay. I'm just wondering, I know some of the popular ones now. There's the Cambridge course, the Oxford course, and there's Ecce Romani is a popular one. There's Wheelock's Latin that some schools use. Um, I just I don't know what they used in the 80s. I was wondering if it's the same textbooks or different, but
Stone tablets. We use stone tablets and chisels.
well, kids are back to using tablets now, They're just
Yeah, that's true.
well,
That's funny. That's a good point.
fine. Well, so then you get elected and you have a year to be national VP. And what was that like?
I loved every minute of it. I loved going to the planning meeting, and I loved the convention. Meeting new people. Like I said, I was telling you before, I was friends with Jim Clancy, who was the treasurer. See, I still even know his name. Um, we traveled, him and Sean, the parliamentarian.
Hmm.
We went to a state convention together in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, yeah, we were invited to go, and Jim lived in Minnesota, and Sean lived in Michigan, and of course Wisconsin's in the middle. So I
Hmm.
was the one who flew up, and they just drove over. It was in Oshkosh, I think, and that was fun. And everyone was just so thrilled to have national officers. We were treated like celebrities.
Yeah.
Um, that was amazing.
That tradition, I think, still exists. Not with COVID, but in in-person conventions, I think the national president usually every year gets a couple of state invitations, and then usually, if a national officer is in a state adjacent to yours, like if you've got an officer from Louisiana, they might get invited to the Texas convention or the Mississippi convention, for example. But I
And
love
do
that
people
tradition.
do they go? Do they go? I hope
I
people
hope
go. I
so.
mean, they do. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I would. It was what an
of course.
opportunity to have.
Yeah, yeah. It was amazing. And then like it was for the planning convention because that was in Norman,
Hmm.
where Sarah lived. So we got to go to her house and her in a house that was like amazing. I had so much fun that apparently we were like out in the field with the horses for 3 hours, and I had no idea. Like we came back and I'm like, we were out there for 3 hours.
That's
So,
terrific.
uh, yeah, Sarah Whitmore. So, yeah, was was just a great time. It really was.
Okay. Well, let's see. I told you earlier there was going to be a little bit of a surprise, and the surprise is I've
Okay.
invited the current first and second VP to come on and help co-host this show so they can meet you and you can meet them because they're the
Oh,
vice presidents
perfect.
and you're the vice president. So I told them they could join at around uh, half past the hour, but Rais is early, and he's from Nevada, so I'm
Oh,
gonna add him in here.
we're gonna add him in.
Yeah.
Hey, Rose.
Hey,
There you
Rais.
are. Oh, I'm like, are we gonna be talking to his picture? Oh, okay.
How's it going,
So
man?
you're.
Pretty good. How is everyone?
Oh, I can barely hear you, Rais. I don't know. Ken, can you
It
hear
is.
him?
It is kind of low, just barely.
Can you guys? Is this any good? Should I project more?
I think
Hold up. Let
project
me
more,
just
yeah.
try. Okay, I can talk like this for
Oh,
the meantime.
oh, there we go. There we go. It may take a second to kick in. So I'm in Las Vegas. Where are you?
Oh, I'm also in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
That's not a coincidence.
That's amazing. I know it. And you're the first VP?
Yeah, I am the first VP, so I deal with the publicity and membership.
Okay. And I initially contacted you, right? Because for
Yep.
the hopefully to be on the show like now.
Yeah. So we've been
So I,
talking,
I love it.
yeah, we've been talking through Ken's year in office. He was talking about going to the fall planning meeting, which was in Oklahoma because the convention was in Oklahoma. And that sounds like just a blast. I see, oh, Lindy tried to join. Lindy's the second VP. Um, I guess she's gonna try rejoining again in a second. But that was the surprise was that I wanted to bring on the two VPs so they could meet you. Um,
Oh, good. I'm excited. As I was hoping that some of the officers would come on.
yeah.
So So even as first VP, because I did both jobs, and it was it was overwhelming for one person, and I mentioned that. But apparently, that's why I was asking Kurt. Was it before the show or no?
I don't
But
remember.
I was asking Kurt. Yeah, I don't either now. When they made that transition, and he thinks it was in the early '90s, which would have been about 10 years after. So I don't know. Maybe it was a lot. It was a lot for one person to do, especially for a VP. You just kind of think you're just going to wait around and hope the president drops dead. so, so I guess first VP is is designate to succeed the president.
Yeah, so that's funny that you mentioned that you just wait for wait for the president to get out of office so you can become it. Because current NJCL president, I joke with him all the time. Like whenever he does something wrong, I'm like, oh, this is my chance. I'm gonna usurp the throne.
They do. Do they still do the tradition? Hi, Lindy. How you doing? Nice to see you.
Hi.
Oh, you fixed. Oh, okay.
You're on. We can hear
That's
you.
good.
We can see you. It's great. What were you gonna say, Ken?
Do they? Oh, at the conventions, do they still do where the VP gets to host one of the GAs, General Assemblies?
Huh. So I think so. The last year's convention was completely online. So I believe the president hosted every single one of those GAs. I actually don't know about vice president's hosting one.
No,
although I would be down.
The most they do, to my knowledge, is they swap out who like leads the Pledge of Allegiance each day. So I think each officer gets a chance to lead something. But as far as banging the gavel and calling the GA to order, if that used to be something that the VPs could do, that's a tradition
It
that
was.
I did not know.
Yes, I did one whole thing where the Brian was like behind me, like itching at every little thing I did wrong, which was funny. But yeah, no, yeah, that was fun too. So speaking of, like you said, waiting for the president to to drop dead so you can run things. But yeah, they still don't do that. Susan Shearer probably would know, be able to chime in, maybe if they still do it, and they just for some reason. I mean, obviously things are a lot different now with a virtual convention last year, and then they're going to do it again this year.
Yep. So let's see. So Rais and Lindy, this is Ken, Rais and Lindy. And he was telling me earlier about how he did both of y'all's jobs basically, and it was a huge undertaking. So we were going through sort of his year in office. We got through why he joined JCL, why he ran for national office, all that. And then I wasn't expecting y'all to join quite this early, so I had a couple other questions prepared, but we can just chat, I'd be interested to know what the hardest part of the job was. And Rais and Lindy, it's going to be one of y'all's jobs, probably. So I want to see if y'all agree.
The publicity.
That's mine.
Yeah, the publicity. There was also, for a long time, when I remember going through all the records, they were trying so hard to get a Latin stamp or JCLs to recognize, from the government. And that was a project, because the publicity was so difficult. I'm like, okay, this project is not working, and so we should close that out. But yeah, but the publicity, I mean, it's got to be easier now with social media, and like this that we're doing here would not be possible, really. I mean, we wouldn't get together. I mean, I would, to do a meeting like this, but with this platform, I just that's amazing, and makes it, I would think, so much easier that you could probably get and speak to people that you wouldn't normally get to. And even with this, and I'm sure the bonus of this national convention, which I'm sure Daniel's not too thrilled about being on, what do you call it, virtual, that a lot of people are going to be able to attend that probably wouldn't be able to go. Right?
So yeah, so like one of my big takeaways, like when I was running for office, I talked about instead of letting COVID decide what we're doing, instead of doing things despite COVID, we can use this opportunity to do things that we've like never had the opportunity to do before. So things like online, like for example, I was like a big advocate for JCL conventions that were once local to be open to anyone from across the country because there's no physical barriers blocking anyone anymore. And we've already had some great conventions all across the country that have incorporated several different people. So like Massachusetts had something called Massachusetts Classics Day. Nevada had something called Snap. And then I heard that a lot of different state conventions this year are also trying that interstate boundary, like getting rid of those interstate boundaries to create like a more inclusive JCL experience.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant.
The biggest undertaking I'm aware of is that there's going to be a four states combined to have a concurrent virtual state convention this year. I think it's New Jersey, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina are all getting together to have a gigantic co-hosted virtual state convention. They're going to still have, elections separately, all the things that are state specific, but that's coming up in a couple of weeks, I believe.
So, Lindy, what do you find the hardest part about the job?
I think that with spirit and service, a lot of it is very community oriented. And so when you're doing things virtually, like conventions or really anything on kind of the spirit and service side, it sometimes is hard because people have boundaries. If they're not able to meet in person at school or host events together, then it can be a little bit hard to do those types of things. But like Rai said, it is kind of an opportunity because people have to get more creative and, we have these virtual options. So, it doesn't really limit what we do or what I do, but it does kind of make things have to be more creative and more open to everyone. And, like you said, it opens up national convention to a lot of people who usually couldn't go. And so similarly with like contests like Club of the Month and stuff, when they're able to do things virtually or kind of separate and put the pieces together, it opens it up to a lot of people who usually wouldn't be able to participate.
Yes, and that's what's good about this. I've encountered the same thing, just slightly going off topic for a second, sort of, as I'm president of my HOA. I don't know if you'd caught that before, but I love doing it online because it's a volunteer job. And going there to the office in person, it was a 3-hour thing because I'd have to go, travel there and then have the meeting. And then we'd have an after meeting. I'd have an after meeting with the community manager to, one, gossip, and two, but just, kind of wrap up things. And then the drive home. So now I can log on and then when you're done, you log and I'm home. It's like, like I blinked and I'm home. I love that. So yeah, I think that is this medium is going to help people be more connected. And it's also, I think, easier. I think. Like I said, I love this. I love this forum, and I'm hoping it continues. Kurt's dragged in it for life, I think.
Well, I think so. I think I'm a lifer, and I'm happy to be. So I want to give y'all as much of a chance to talk to each other about being VP as possible, because I've never been a VP of anything. Well, no, that's not true. I've been the VP of SCL, but that's a totally different job from being VP of JCL. But before we do that, and y'all ask each other more questions or whatever, we do have some pictures to share from the Torch US that I don't want to forget about. And Lindy and Rais, in 30 years, when y'all come on back on the JCLive, that's, I guess, beamed directly into people's brains or something like that, we'll show pictures of y'all from the Torch in 2020.
Virtual.
But here they are. So this is Ken back in the day. Let's see. It says Ken Schneider, a senior at Robert E. Lee High School in Baytown, Texas, is very excited about the possibilities of JCL in the oncoming year. Schneider has been very active in NJCL, receiving many state and national awards, including first in regional mythology and fifth at national. He's listed in Who's Who in American High School Students. What's that?
It was a book that I think it was just a gimmick that you paid $40 to be in.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a big deal, but I was young and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, okay, they'll put you in the book if you send them $40. I'm like, sure.
Okay.
So, but it was a big, thick, and a lot of important people were in there. So, I mean, it's like, but yeah, nowadays you don't even have telephone books, much less a who's who of American high school students.
Oh. Ken plans to increase membership and gain as much publicity as possible for JCL in the coming year. He would also like to see cooperation and communication among the states with himself. Oh, we just kind of talked about that. So this was your picture from the torch, and when I mentioned that I only had black and white pictures from the torch, you sent me this one down here. Is this at Nationals?
That is where yes, that's the Miami University. That's Nationals where I was elected. I guess the person who was taking pictures snapped my picture. I remember that picture. I remember because I'm grabbing onto the egg, right? I don't know if you can tell, but I was grabbing onto the egg, and there are some pictures I'm sure has happened to all of you where you're like, I don't remember taking that picture. Like, that picture. But that one I do remember because it was such an exciting time. And I do remember taking that other picture. I had to go into a studio to get that picture done. The top one.
Oh, wow. Okay. We don't do that anymore. We just, we give the publications chair a camera, and at fall planning meeting, usually I take the national officers and just kind of disappear during one of the meetings, and we go around campus and take photos. And I don't know if this was a tradition in the 80s, Ken, but at fall planning meeting, one of the things we do is we'll give each of the 7 national officers a t-shirt of the college that we're at. And then we get group pictures with them all in their college t-shirts. I mean, of whatever college the convention is going to be at. So for y'all, it would have been University of Oklahoma shirts.
Oh yeah, which would have been. I like that. That's nice. But that was amazing. And I have to tell you too. One of the perks of being an officer was, how everybody had to walk. we were allowed a car, so we all literally climbed into I forget, it was somebody's car. It wasn't big, people are on each other's laps and we're hanging out, and of course I'm kind of ducking as you go by everybody who's looking oh look, the officers get to ride up to the thing.
That's I'm gonna skip this picture to go to the picture of the car.
Oh, is that the car?
Yeah.
Is that really?
Let me zoom out to get it to fit in frame. This is
how funny.
This was also in the torch. Apparently, so Rais and Lindy, get this. For the Roman procession on the last day of Spirit, the officers got to be in a car.
Now this picture I don't remember taking.
Okay.
Where am I? Oh, I'm in the back there.
Yeah, that's
you.
Okay. Here. And this is the 7 of y'all, right? Your board.
Yeah, I honestly can't see, even with my glasses on.
I can send you the picture afterwards.
Oh yeah, please. How funny. That was in the car, yeah.
The sign says the convention theme, which was loosely translated as a golden key can open any door. And then it's got President Brian Melendez. That's the text on the sign.
Oh, they didn't. We didn't. Oh, we hit just him. The rest. Oh, how funny! See, you know, no wonder Caesar got assassinated.
And then backing up.
How funny.
Go ahead, Rais.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's any cars at the virtual convention.
Yeah, no, but then again, you're there and you get to, sleep in your own bed, right?
Maybe we can do that, Rais. Maybe we just need a video of each officer in a car for 10 seconds and put a little video compilation together.
Oh, how funny.
Just play it during the Roman procession.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
But I didn't know about that tradition. That was true. I always learn things when I go back and read the old torches. I need to sit down one day and just read all of them. This picture
Yeah,
that I'm showing now. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, just that everything was in black and white because obviously it was print copies and color was always more expensive.
Yeah.
That's probably why. See now, obviously, well, was the torch online now, or do they don't still print it? Do they?
We no longer print the torch. That
There you
decision,
go. Okay.
that change was made in like 2014. When I was editor, we did print it still. So any typos are immortalized forever. But that year, that was 2012. We also started posting it on the website on njcl.org. So you'd get a print copy that was black and white, but then the copy on njcl.org was in color for the first time in 2012.
I would love that picture in color. I mean, if somebody has it archived.
I can ask. I know they keep a lot of archives at the office, and they have, you can restore color to black and white photos now somehow. Not me, but other people can. There's some tool for that.
Oh yeah, from like pictures from 1910.
Yeah.
They're all in black and white.
But anyway, I wanted to get those photos on screen before I forgot. But yeah, what other questions do y'all have for each other about the job or about?
Well, I'm just a little curious about like, did you interact? If you interacted with JCL or like SCL or something after you were officer and like moved on to the next stage of your life?
With Jim Clancy and I were friends. We went to I traveled to his house, and then we went to Washington D.C. I think it was after the convention because the convention's in July. So then we traveled to Washington D.C. together, and then we were friends. But then I think college and life. I don't know what happened to him. I was telling Kurt, I had originally intended. Well, the reason I took Latin, my original intention was twofold: one for law school, and then two, and do law school for politics. So, so I've only kind of did the politics thing with being in charge of my HOA, which I've had to run, and I chair the board meetings. So get a little taste of it, but but now, of course, I look at political office and you say the one word wrong and they want to string you up. So I don't think I would want the job. So so I'd be curious as to why you guys did it. See.
Ooh. Well, so I started Latin because of my sister, she was big in my state's JCL. She was like our 2 VP and everything, and she like always talked about how cool these JCL. I just knew them as like those Latin convention things were. And then like when I got into 8th grade, I was like, this is the best subject. I'm so bad at Spanish. Give me something I'm good at. Give me conventions, mythology, all of that. And I just kind of been like just moving forward with that.
And Lindy?
So I moved, and then when I moved schools, and where I went to school before, none of the schools around had Latin. We only had Spanish. And then when I moved schools, they had Spanish, French, and Latin. And there's the person who teaches Latin, my teacher, Miss Vero. She taught Latin there for a long while, and she just made it sound really interesting. And since I didn't know much about Latin and I had never had the opportunity to take it, I just started taking it. And I just really quickly got involved with JCL on the state level in South Carolina. And then it kind of escalated to I was like, well, I should run for national office because it's something I really enjoy doing. But obviously now that the VPs are separate, the workload's a little lighter, I bet. So.
Well, it's with like anything. You can, you could do more detail than when it's such a large burden. It's like in anything, you can't concentrate on any one area enough. So I think it's much better. When I saw that. So I was hoping to take credit for it, but it happened too long after I was gone.
Well, taking credit for Open Certamen is already pretty awesome.
Yes, well, thank you. Like I said, it came from, that I wanted to I was always always the alternate. I don't know why, but that's what I liked about it, and I participated in it. I think I got second place in Kertaminate State, I believe, um, and then fifth at nationals, which was always my best, was my best in mythology, and I love mythology. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. So, what do all of for the the contest? What's your field?
So I am a like state level Kurtomen player. I get smoked on the national stage, but so I am kind of like the jack of all trades at the state level. But when I go into like the national level, I think my bests are like grammar and then like derivatives and history.
Oh wow, that grammar. That's pretty tough. Derivatives. And Lindy.
Yeah, so South Carolina is such a small state. We don't even have a Kurtraman team. So that's not. I don't think I'd be good at it if we did. But I like on the state level we do some like at state convention. But when it comes to like national like the tests and stuff, I'm definitely more like a mythology person or like a derivatives person.
Right on.
Yeah, because we do the national mythology exam every year, and we do Greek and Latin derivatives every Friday and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of our area, kind of my area. I kind of like doing that. But overall, when it comes to nationals, and state, like always like spirit is always like my favorite, But that's kind of what I do now, so it makes sense. But yeah.
Did you decide to? I mean, when you run for office, you run for first VP and you run for second VP?
Yep.
It's not like, okay. I was thinking like maybe the runner-up, you both run for VP and the runner-up gets, they divide it up like, but you actually run for that.
Yeah, you individually run for every office.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
What were you going to say, Lindy?
It's kind of two distinct jobs now where our only real overlap is National Classics Week. And then kind of working together when publicity meets kind of like spirit and service, which happens occasionally. And we work, the officers in general work together on a lot of things overall now. I don't know if it was like that when you guys did stuff. But but it's two very distinct jobs now where like Rais runs certain competitions and certain things, and I run certain competitions and certain things. And so it takes kind of two different interests to do the job now.
Oh, and I forgot. I just remembered too. Back when we were talking, I did go to Brian's house. Brian Melinda's the president. We went to. He lived at the time, or his parents did, in Ocala, Florida. I completely forgot about that because I was racking my brains. So, have you guys on the same theme? Or you guys work together and y'all are all close, right?
Yeah, I think I consider myself like friends with pretty much everyone on our board. I mean, I haven't gone to go at anyone's house. COVID, duh.
Well, yeah. Nick, I haven't left. I've been home for the last year. I haven't gone anywhere.
That's one of the great shames of this is that, being an NJCL officer, two of the absolute highlights of that experience are the fall planning meeting and the spring planning meeting, because that's when you get to see and hang out with your board. And those really stand out. It's very sad that last year's officers weren't able to have a spring planning meeting and this year's an in-person one, and this year's officers weren't able to have either, or the convention even in person. But what that means is that everybody has to join SCL and come back to convention in person in 2022 and at University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and then you'll all get to hang out in person. It'll be great.
Yeah, I was thinking about going to, since in Nevada, I was thinking about going to the San Diego one because I was like, well, it's because I couldn't go to the one that was here in like 2013 because I was working. But just I don't know, just to pop in and see. But now, no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're overdue for a West Coast one again since.
I was like really looking forward to having a convention that I could drive to instead of taking a plane, because I mean, crazy coincidence that we're both in Vegas.
I
But
know
like,
it is. Well, I'm originally from Texas, though, when I was an officer.
yeah, I'm like I am Nevada's first vice president. I think I'm pretty sure. So, obviously you wouldn't have. I don't think we even had a chapter or like a single chapter when you were vice president. But I was like, I mean, just it would be really epic to just go on a bus somewhere to California conventions, because my school at least goes to California conventions all the time. So would have been pretty epic.
Well, the virtual convention, I mean, definitely, I mean, yeah, 40 years from now, like Kurt said, you can come back and say, during COVID, and Kurt will still be hosting the show. You don't have to wheel him in.
Something like that. Yep.
IV.
Yeah.
That's funny. I was going to say something else. Melindy, what were you looking forward to that you can't do now?
Things are gonna have to be a little bit different with like spirit and service. Obviously we can't do like the huge procession and people yelling and like all together and screaming and stuff. Yeah, so that's kind of tough. But South Carolina, we usually either have a long bus ride ahead of us or a flight anyways. So California would have been a long flight for us. But yeah, it's fun, to travel. So it does kind of put a wrench in the plans that it's virtual. But I guess it's just, we're lucky that it's just going to keep everyone safe and that, we're able to do it virtually. So I guess that's a nice silver lining.
I'm excited for
it
the
is.
the That's Entertainment acts that we can't showcase in a real year. I talked about this on an older stream, but like every year we get a really talented kid who's amazing at magic. And they come into the That's Entertainment room and they're like, pick a card and all this. And we love it. And it's really hard to showcase somebody doing magic in front of 1,200 people on a stage because like you can't see what they're doing. But now with COVID, with the virtual That's Entertainment where kids submit a video of them doing their talent, you can be as zoomed in as you want. You can get all the angles and everything else. We had a performer last year who was doing magic tricks. His mom was the assistant, the victim, I don't know, with his magic, and we got to show him in That's Entertainment. We haven't been able to show a magic act in forever. That's the same. We had somebody who was doing gymnastics, so I'm looking forward to, as a silver lining, like y'all said, trying to get some new That's Entertainment acts. They had the That's Entertainment talent show in the 80s, right? That's been around for.
Oh yeah. I was never talented enough to even attempt that. I always did, and there were always amazing people, and just especially even at a young age, then looking back on it, to go and put yourself out there like that that's a growing experience, I guess, learning experience. But I can look forward. At least I can see stuff that I wouldn't be able to see. So that is the silver lining on that. So now we have 3 vice presidents here. So Kurt, you should have Daniel come on and we can take him out.
I agree.
Well, I masterminded things so that the officers who were scheduled to give officer reports this week were Rais and Lindy, and that was the whole surprise. Was I was gonna.
It's the whole thing.
But we'll tell Daniel to watch out for sure.
We're coming, Daniel. We're coming.
Well, did y'all have any other questions, Rais and Lindy? Did y'all have any other questions for Ken?
Did you do like all the contests and things back in your time, like Club of the Month and Photo of the Month? Did they do all that stuff? Because it's harder without online, right?
Right. No, I didn't do any of that. I think those are outgrowths of splitting up the VPs, and of course, like anything, they're more growth for your responsibilities, even because they're divided up more. But no, I don't remember doing any of that. Mine, like I said, my goal was always with the publicity. and I, never felt that I did as good as a job as I should have. So, always wanted to do more. But I mean, yeah, I mean, but dozens of years of people being able to do Certamen with Open Certamen, satisfied that urge of signing up and being able to do it, even though it wasn't the official, where you're going to get. Do they award? Still like the Open Certamen team? Do they get a prize, or they just do the contest?
Oh no, I think there's
like a ribbon.
I think they do get a prize. I think top 3 teams in each division. I could be wrong about that, but
I don't remember.
So you can walk away with something, yeah.
Yeah, certainly their names get listed in the Torch US, but I believe they also get a trophy or something at the convention. They get called up on stage and everything.
Yeah, I still have my ribbons. The only thing I lost was my NJCL pin. I didn't lose it. I was robbed. My house was broken into about 20 years ago, and one of my old briefcases, I had put it in because it's not it's not very big, and I put it in a fold in the briefcase so I wouldn't lose it. And then the robbers, they took all my jewelry and watches and rings and of course the briefcase. They just took it, and my pen was in there. So I had that for the, then that was 20 years ago now, but I'd had it at that point, for almost 20 years.
I mean, they knew what was valuable.
Yeah.
They knew what was valuable. They really liked that JCL bling.
Yeah. So that was a prize. So don't lose it. Keep it in a safe place. They still give you the pin, right? You still have that.
Don't know. Right. See, we weren't inducted at a convention, so I feel like that would be the time to normally give us the pin.
Oh.
Oh.
Mine are on the shelf back there. Yes, that's still done. I'm gonna make sure that y'all get yours this year, Raiz, for sure. I hadn't realized that might not have gone through. I'll double check with the powers that be right after this show and make sure that gets sent to you, because it's nice. It says it's got the office name on it.
Yeah, it's got your office on there and your year, I think, too. And then there's a little dangling JCL, like the thing like you have behind you. That little piece. And it was 14 karat gold.
Oh.
So
I don't think
they were then. Yeah. It was 14 karat gold. Yeah. So that's what I was told. I don't know who said it, but yeah, it was a prize that. Well, see, it is a prized possession because Kurt has them right behind him.
Yeah, I keep them in my camera bag back there.
Yeah.
But yes, I'll make a note of that actually, Rice and Lindy. That's very important because that's a nice little memento to have.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Lindy, you asked a question, and Rice, you asked a question also, right? Cool. And Ken, did you have any other questions for the VPs or for me about traditions that may or may not still be going on, or other things about how JCL is doing these days?
No, well, it's so for the convention, is it open to more people? Like, for instance, if I wanted to log in to see what was going on, can I? Or
yeah, absolutely. So there, in a normal year, there are anybody can, there's the whole convention packet, which is full price. That's, a big ticket thing. But then if you want to just show up for a day or two, there are guest passes where you can just stop by the main little office and get a name tag and just say hey to people and all that. This year, I don't know if there's an equivalent of dropping by to say hi, but I can check on that too. But you're certainly more than welcome to show up to the General Assemblies or something like that. Stop in, meet old friends. If anybody... if you happen to know anybody who might be coming back, y'all could hang out. There are events for the adults to reminisce, and events for the kids to, there's a virtual dance and things like that. And of course, there's That's Entertainment, which will be online. It'll be on YouTube, not live streamed, but live premiered like this with a live chat and everything. So absolutely, there are things that you could drop in and participate in this year, and then also any other year that it's in person, like a normal year. You or anybody who's been in JCL or as a parent or affiliate in some way can just drop into the national convention for a day, absolutely free, just to say hi to everybody.
Well, that's what I wanted to do this year. Did you say virtual dance?
Yeah, did either of y'all go to the virtual dance? I didn't do that.
It was a lot of this.
Yeah.
Virtual. Oh, okay. Well, because how can? Okay. Yeah, I was like, he said virtual dance. I'm like, okay.
I remember us
Just
advertising that, but I don't know the logistics of it.
how funny. I'm sure. I mean, what has come out of? I mean, I don't know how much time we have, but um, what has come out of the virtual that you think would be carrying over until like when they do in person? Like, has there been something that would be like, we did this virtually, but hey, this would be cool to do in person too.
I think virtual meetings, interactions, whatever, will probably be something to consider for the future. Even if it's just for certain things. I mean, I don't know, obviously, but because this is my term. But I mean, I do think a virtual element or more virtual JCL events will always carry on, whether it's through like JCLive or other just little virtual events we do, like we've done like Among Us on here, so maybe something like that in future years. I mean, I just think we will incorporate virtual elements in more, especially now that we've gotten so used to them. Everyone has everywhere, so I think that's something to definitely like consider for the future.
Yeah, I can answer because, I've been in some of the committee discussions about this. It's very much on everybody's mind that, hey, last year's convention and this year's upcoming convention are going to be accessible to more people who wouldn't have otherwise been able to go. Is there some way that we can preserve that where you can, let's say next year, when there's in-person convention again, is it going to be possible, an option perhaps for somebody to pay less money for a ticket and then compete in the tests virtually or the arts competitions virtually? So even if they can't go to convention for scheduling reasons or for monetary reasons or for distance reasons or whatever it is there some way that they can still be a part of some of the competitions that are run in sort of a hybrid model? I think everybody's thinking about that and trying to make that happen because we want to make these things as accessible as possible. Another thing that I can say for sure is almost definitely going to be maintained is last year there are the creative arts competitions, the performances, the Latin oratory and English oratory and things like that, dramatic interpretation. And there are also the graphic arts competitions, ink and pastels and decorative stitching and all those. And normally there's a graphic arts viewing, so you can go to a big room where they have all the beautiful art pieces out and you can look around and see all the terrific submissions. And there's also like the best in class for creative arts. They'll have performances either at the award ceremony for creative arts or for the overall GA, where you can go see the winners perform. And with a virtual convention, we couldn't have either of those. So instead, the chairs for those competitions put together a video of, here are pictures of the best graphic arts awards winners, or here's the recording that the winning dramatic interpretation person submitted. Like, this was their submission to the contest. They had to record themselves doing the dramatic interpretation. Here is a video of the winners stitched together, and that's up on our YouTube channel. And those were some of the most watched videos of the convention, were the graphic arts highlight and the creative arts highlight videos. So I think those are going to be made every year moving forward, no matter if we're in person or virtual, because it's such a cool thing, and it's good for like the parents to be able to see like, wow, look, my kid's art is in this video, they really won. Even if the parent can't go to convention and go to the award ceremony or whatever, they can see it on YouTube. So I know for sure, I think that's going to continue.
Oh, that's good.
I know that was a long
very
answer.
Good. No, it was good. No, I was fascinated because I was hoping that if this hadn't happened, that sometimes would be able to move it, incorporate it into the future. So that's great to hear.
Yeah.
It's all still moving forward.
Mm-hmm. So we are coming up on time. I know, well, normally when we have guests on, I ask them what advice they would have for current JCLers. So, Ken, do you have any advice for current JCLers?
just the only thing that I can think of what has meant to me is just the memories and to enjoy the moment and be there because it will be something that you will look back upon fondly. I have no doubt.
And it really is.
And the
Go ahead.
no, you go.
I was going to say it is so terrific to have you back. What is it? I never do math on stream, but it's almost 40 years later, right, since you were an officer.
Yes.
And you've got these strong memories still, and you can remember the names of the people you were an officer with, and going to the secretary's house at fall planning meeting and hanging out with the horses and things like that. That's incredible that these memories have stuck with you, and that's a testament to how much you got out of it.
That's what I was saying. That's what I still remember, and I look back upon it fondly. So I just wish and hope that everybody, has that same experience. I really do.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much for coming on. It's been really nice to meet you and talk with you and introduce you to the current VPs, 1 and 2,
Yeah.
who's
What I'm passing the torch.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, now look, yeah, there you go. I should have done 2, right?
Terrific.
How
Terrific.
funny.
Well, next week's show is going to be, we're going to have the current and former president of Virginia JCL on. They'll be talking about what it's like to get brought on board onto a state board and, preserving the traditions and the best practices from year to year to year, which is related to what we've been talking about tonight. And then the week after that will be the National Classics Week stream, the season finale of JCLive for now. What we're going to do, all 7 officers are going to come on. It's going to be a great time. More to be announced soon about that. We're going to start hyping that stream up. But we will be back a week from now on Monday. Every Monday, JCLive. Thanks very much to Mr. Ken. Thanks very much to Rais. Thanks very much to Lindy. It was great to have y'all on. And we'll see y'all next week. Cheers, everybody.